Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Sangeeta and I'm the founder of HelpSee. And thank you so much for joining us on our health chat. Today, our focus, we are continuing our cancer series with various healthcare practices. And today, I have the honor of bringing on my wonderful colleague and friend, Liana Wheatley. Hi, Liana.
Hi, Sangeeta.
Right. So Liana has amazing experience in Sheng Gong. She's a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from University of Texas, and she also got a Bachelor of Arts many years ago from UT Austin. She is an active member of Oncology Nursing Society and has maintained oncology certification since 1999. That's many, many years as an oncology nurse working with cancer patients. She's the current coordinator-elect, which is like the chair for the Complementary and Integrative Medicine Special Interest Group at Oncology Nursing Society. It's a national group, and Liana chairs that group. She's been involved in this from 2011 in this leadership activity where she's guiding other nurses into bringing complementary and alternative medicine, integrative medicine into their practice and learning about it. She has tremendous experience in Sheng Gong, which is what we're going to be talking to her about today. And she started her journey in this many years ago in 2013 with Master Li, who's a renowned master in Qigong. And since then, she's continued learning and teaching people about this practice. I know she has taught me in conferences. She's taught many other nurses. She's taught massage therapists, medical students, caregivers, patients, both locally as well as nationally. I know she also does weekly classes in Texas for her community. And she's currently working as breast cancer nurse navigator at Baylor Scott and White Health System in Texas. So it's such an honor to welcome Liana and to talk more about Sheng Gong. That's what we're going to focus on today.
Thank you. It seems so impressive to be introduced that way. I was like, wow, I've done all that.
You have. It's quite amazing what you achieved and what you contribute to the world.
Yeah.
So Liana, let's start with a little bit about your journey. Tell us about how did you get into Qigong?
So I actually got into Qigong. I started studying Qigong in 2008. At that time, I lived in a small town in East Texas called Beaumont. And I was learning how to do lymphedema therapy. I had taken a certification course in decongestive therapy for lymphedema because we had no resources in our community for our lymphedema patients. So I had taken the certification course and I was working with some people with lymphedema, and I was looking for not really, sort of exercises that they could do in addition to or instead of the traditional post-surgical exercises. And I had started looking at Tai Chi, which is a form of Qigong, but I found it to be too rigid. You had to follow this movements in exactly the same steps. It was very hard to learn, and I didn't have a teacher. And so I really was starting to look for other types of modalities like that I could maybe incorporate into my lymphedema practice. And my sister had been at a retreat and she'd taken a Qigong class. And she said, you know, you should look up some Qigong. And I started looking into it, and she sent me a video series by Ken Cohen called the 100-day Qigong, something like it was a 100-day Qigong quest type thing. And I followed that video religiously. I listened to all of the little CDs that came with it. I did the video program every day with the video for probably about a month, and then I knew it, and I didn't do it with the video. I just did it on my own, and I would do it in different places. I would go outside in the morning, and I really incorporated this 20 minutes of gentle movement, meditative movements into my day, and it was just fabulous. And I started using it with some of my lymphedema patients, and they really enjoyed some of the movements that we did. It felt good to do it, more so than the exercises did, because of the movement of the Chi. And then we moved from Beaumont to Austin, Texas, and at that time, Master Li Junfeng was on the faculty at the, at that time it was called the Austin Academy of Oriental Medicine of Austin, and now it is called the Graduate School of Integrative Medicine. But he was on the faculty. He was the main Qigong instructor at AOMA at that time. And so I started taking community classes. And Master Li's Qigong is called Sheng Gong. And it is Qigong of unconditional love. So the movement is not only focused on cleansing the Qi and allowing the Qi to purify the blood and bypass the meridians, and so there's a natural healing to it, but it also acknowledges that the origin of Qi, of all the energy of the universe, comes from unconditional love. So it has kind of a specialness to it, because it's about self-healing, it's about healing of the planet, it's about healing the society. So it's much bigger than just the individual healing piece.
That's
but
beautiful.
But certainly, you know, that's kind of how I started, was with this individual healing piece and something to share with other people. And then it became a mission and a path to wellness for myself, and then to share with other people as well.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so beautiful. What a beautiful journey. I'm glad your sister went for that retreat and found this.
Right.
And started you on this beautiful path. Let's back up a little bit and further say, introduce our audience to what is Qigong and what is Shenzhen Gong. So they can learn more about it and they know what it means, what's the difference. Also, how is it different than Tai Chi? I know you touched a little bit on it, but would be great if we can go more into it.
Sure. So there's thousands of different types of Qigong. Qigong is an ancient practice. It is part of traditional Chinese medicine, but it is mostly a moving meditation, similar to yoga. It is a series of movements that are done while maintaining a meditative state. Some Qigong could be considered a martial art. Some Tai Chi is definitely a martial art. It has its origins in learning specific movements for self-defense and for battle. But the Qigong that I do, Sheng Gong, is more meditative. It consists of movements that some are standing, some are done seated in a chair, some are done seated cross-legged on the floor or a cushion, and some are done laying down. So there's a variety of things. There are non-moving forms that are simply sitting still and moving the Qi, the energy in the body. there are other forms that are much more dynamic, but they all perform the same function of moving the chi within the body, removing stagnant chi from the body, and gathering healing chi through the different movements. Did I answer all the questions?
Yes, you did. that was a great, concise piece of information about all of them. Let's talk a little bit about chi. You mentioned the word chi, that it moves the chi, it removes chi. And can you talk about what is chi and why it's important, or how it's utilized in Qigong?
Sure. So Chi is universal life force energy. As I mentioned, Sheng believes that this Chi originated out of love. And so it is the force that makes all living things on the planet grow. We can receive Chi from the air around us, from the earth below us, from the heavens above us, from our environment. Chi on its own does not have good or bad qualities, although there is the balance. The yin yang is a principle that is talked about a lot in Qigong. There is balance. The Chi can become murky. You can get negative energies, can get stuck within parts of your body, and that Chi becomes murky in there. And so then doing the practice to gather healing Chi, you can move murky Chi out and gather healing Chi to replace that, to improve your health, to improve your energy, to improve your stamina. I think that answered that.
Yeah, it does. That's quite amazing. It's like the yin and yang, and even in Ayurveda we have a prana, which is the life force. I think similar connotation to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting. So you touched on some of the different conditions that Qigong can help. Can you talk a little bit more about them? Like what kind of health conditions, what kind of symptoms have you seen where Qigong is helpful or Shen Gong is helpful?
So there have been some studies with Qigong. There was a small study done out of the Ohio State University, and I know the author's name is Overcash, and I can't remember the exact name of the study, but that's a clue if you're looking for it. But the study, they worked with breast cancer patients. They mostly were just looking for symptom relief. They had very good responses with the group. It was a very motivated group. They followed through with the practice. They had definite improvement in energy, which is a big thing for most people going through cancer treatment, is just having the energy to get through it, because the whole cycle of cell death is taxing. And so they had really good responses with managing fatigue. They had some good responses with chemo brain and just cognitive function. Not as much as the fatigue, but that was the biggest thing that it was helpful for, which is really nice because there's not a whole lot out there other than exercise that's proven to help with fatigue. So, and it's a gentle form of exercise. Master Lee says it's not really exercise at all, but it is movement, and so it's not sitting still all the time, and so it can be at least a way to gently move people into movement. I did use some Qigong with my lymphedema patients, and I have friends that have lymphedema and have had breast cancer treatment that have used this Sheng Gong as part of their wellness practice. and it really helps them with lymphatic flow. They can tell the difference. And when I do the movement, I can feel how it would help with lymphatic flow. So that's also a nice benefit to it. So fatigue, lymphatic flow, I think in general, the practice helps to find balance in your life. So it can help with problems with dietary needs. It can kind of help you become more in tune with your body and then recognize your cues a little bit better as to what things you really do need. Because sometimes we get a little off kilter and we can't really determine, do I need food? Do I need water? What is the thing I need here? And so getting in tune with your body, letting the chi move through the meridians does help you identify a little bit better what things you're needing. As I need to take a sip.
Yeah, that's a lot of great benefits. So you talked about fatigue. So Qigong can help with fatigue, with chemo brain, with lymphedema, with calming the mind, with bringing you more into balance, with raising awareness about your body and your mood, so you can sense what's going on, and that could potentially help with managing the dietary challenges and having a calm mind. So a lot of great benefits, Liana, with Qigong. It's wonderful. We touched on a lot of these different benefits. Are there studies, is there research that has shown some of these benefits? I know you talked briefly about one of them.
Yeah, there was also another study, and I can't remember the author, where they did Qigong with people who were getting radiation therapy, and they also had very good responses with improvement in energy and improvement in stamina. And I will have to find that study for you, but I don't have it off the top of my head, but I remember looking at it very recently, actually. I think that most of the studies that have been done have definitely proven that it's safe for cancer patients to do Qigong, that there really aren't any strong contradictions to doing it. And you know, the movement that we do in Qigong is always gentle movement. So the point isn't to do it to stress, the point is to do it for relaxation. So there isn't any muscle wear and tear. While it is certainly possible to do that while doing Qigong or Tai Chi or something like that, in our practice, we certainly wouldn't encourage someone to do something that hurt them or that felt painful in any way. When I teach a class, I always say, you know, if it hurts you to do it, just watch. If you want to figure out if you're doing something wrong and that's why it hurts, ask. Because none of the movements should hurt, and there isn't a proven benefit to doing something repetitively that hurts your body. So it's really important to just make sure that you're listening to those cues. But certainly all the studies done with Qigong with cancer patients have found it to be a safe practice.
That's really important. That's great that, you know, it's a safe practice. People can do it on their own. And like you said, it's something that shouldn't hurt. So it's when somebody is doing it, you shouldn't have the feeling that you are in pain. So that's a very, very important point you brought up. It's supposed to be comfortable and easy, and you flow into it. So Liana, you are a great teacher in this practice, and also you have Western medicine background. For our audience who are completely new to this, how do they go about figuring out who is the right practitioner? How can they make sure that the person is trained? Are there education? Is there qualifications? Where can they go? So that's one question. And the second part of the question is, what if there aren't resources, or for whatever reason it's not possible to engage a teacher? Then what resources do you suggest for them?
So those are really great questions, and they can be hard because there are thousands of different kinds of Qigong, and I wouldn't always recommend every one of them, and I wouldn't recommend every teacher. So there are Qigong, because there's so much of it and it's not really well known. There's not a whole lot of oversight. There is a National Qigong Association. It's pretty much voluntary, but it does have some criteria that would tell you who is a legitimate Qigong teacher. The type of Qigong that I do is called Sheng Gong. There are lists of teachers online, and there are teachers all over the country and actually all over the world of Sheng Gong, and you can find them on the website shengzhen.org. And that is SHENGZHEN.org. There are also a lot of resources through Shengzhen on YouTube. There are a lot of Master Li Junfeng's videos that are on YouTube. And then he also has a Vimeo, and I should get the link to that, but he's in Santa Barbara now, and he has like a Vimeo account, so he has instructional videos that he does that you can, I think you buy the series, and they're a little bit more instructional than just the videos. But the videos are fine too if somebody wants to watch it. Sometimes people are more comfortable with that, watching a video at home and just following along. Because then they, a lot of times I don't like to do yoga in a big room with a whole lot of people when I don't know what I'm doing. It's fine if I know what I'm doing, but I don't want other people to know I don't know what I'm doing. So, so sometimes that's a nice way to get involved in it, is just to look up the videos online or order DVDs and begin practicing on your own. And then as you go, see if you can find a teacher in your area. But there definitely are starting to be more Shengzhen teachers. One of my most recent accomplishments is that I got Master Li's workshops accredited through the American Holistic Nurses Association for nursing CEs. So
Wow, cool.
So I know he has one coming up in Colorado in October, and I need to get his list of upcoming workshops for the next couple of years so that we can get those promoted for nurses. There certainly would be beneficial for anyone to take, but for nurses to take them, it's nice to be able to get CEs to do those practices too. So, but in doing that, I hope will help promote Shengzhen to be a little bit more of a standardized practice for more people, and maybe get more people out there interested in practicing it.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah. So, like you said, you can find the teachers. There is a website, and I will take the information from you and we'll post it along with this video in the description so people can find it. And you talked about there are YouTube videos. That's how you found out about it too.
Right.
It looks like Master Li has some videos, or there are DVDs that people can use.
Yes.
Are there things that you suggest as being cautious, or any kind of precautions when people are trying it on their own?
I would say, always listen to your body. Don't do anything that causes you any pain. When looking for a teacher, you also would want to make sure that the person that's teaching you understands your physical limitations, and whether you have them or not, doesn't ask you to do anything that is painful, and doesn't ask you to donate more money than you can afford or anything like that. Because Qigong is somewhat of a spiritual practice and a holistic practice, sometimes people can get a little too involved in it. And so you always want to make sure that you're not so involved that someone's taking advantage of you. I don't see that happening in Shen Gong, but I've heard of other types of Qigong where that has been an issue. So I think that would always be something to be cautious of. And then, you know, and then knowing what your limitations are and making sure that other people know that too.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. And I think overall, like you said, it's a quite safe practice, but just knowing your body, not pushing yourself too far, will help to keep it safe. Let me ask you some more, you know, logistics questions about Qigong. So generally, what is a good time to practice it, and how long can one practice it?
So there's different theories and different styles of Qigong. Sheng Gong does not have any rules about the best time to practice. I do like to practice first thing in the morning, though. There's something that's really nice, and it feels very self-loving to get up in the morning and take that few moments to yourself and just get connected in your body with the earth and with the world around you. So I do really enjoy practicing first thing in the morning. Sometimes it's a quick practice. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 15, 20 minutes. That can be very individual. Master Lee always says, you know, if you feel like you haven't done it enough, you know, you can keep going. But he says, if you really feel like you got to keep going, you should stop. You know, sometimes you just you get too much into a groove. And so he's like, you know, if you're feeling compelled to do it, sometimes you just have to stop. But there's no rule about how long it's good to do it. It is really good to have a regular daily practice. Even if it's only 10, 15 minutes a day, doing the practice every day is how you get the benefit. You grow within the practice. You learn. You might do the same movement over and over again for every day for 5 years, and on 5 years and one day, you get a whole different sensation doing that feeling. It brings you to a whole different level. You understand a whole bunch more about what that one movement is doing in your body. So, and I've had that happen where I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and then I have this epiphany like, oh, I'm moving the chi out of my feet, or, you know, and you know, because you don't think about it, it's important to do the movement so that it's a rote movement and you don't have to think about it, so that you can be really mindful in the movement, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a beautiful way to do mindful meditation. Meditation in motion. Is that
Yes.
a way to describe it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to do it. I love it. Let me ask you some more from a clinical perspective, right? So you talked about how Qigong can help with fatigue and with chemo brain or calming the mind. Are there different poses for these different conditions, or is it a general practice that you adopt and it helps with most conditions?
So, yes and yes and no. I don't prescribe specific movements within Shen Gong for a specific function. There are 18 forms, and so I would do a form from beginning to end. Most forms have between 10 and 14 movements within them. Some of them have a few more, but that's the average. So I might do a form. There's a form called Heaven Nature Gong. I might do that form if I just wanted to feel peaceful and calming. There are elements within that form that are particularly good for strengthening your back muscles and relieving back pain. But those movements are also in other forms. So I wouldn't take apart the form and say you should do this movement if you want to work on your chemo brain. A lot of the practice comes from doing the whole sequence from beginning to end and letting those pieces work together to create the harmony and the balance. There are certainly within those forms different movements that are better for different things. There's some movements, there's one of the forms, Heart Mind is One, has a movement in it that is known to help regulate the bowels and help deal with some GI function specifically, but I wouldn't say just do that one on its own.
Right, so it's a sequence, and you do the entire sequence because it's meant to create a sense of balance or harmony by doing the entire sequence and impact
exactly
all parts of the body, right?
Right.
And different forms might have more affinity and better impact on certain organs, but generally you do it as a sequence. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like yoga, right? You generally do like an entire sequence.
Right. And there are some movements that you'll repeat the same movement over and over again. And it might be that somebody might find it beneficial to do one sequence for a longer period of time, and that's completely fine. But you wouldn't take it apart and prescribe different parts of it that way. I don't know. I suppose some people could do that, but I don't do that. I don't feel like that doesn't feel balanced to me. It feels balanced to me to learn the whole thing as it is, and then experience those pieces as you go.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit deeper into this. I'm curious, how does Qigong or Shenzhen, how does it help with addressing these different health problems? We talked about fatigue and lymphedema and chemo brain or calming the mind. What is going on from your perspective that it's having a clinical impact, not just I feel good, but it's actually improving that condition?
I think there's a lot of things in place. The principle of Qigong is similar as to with prana. It's life force energy, and in traditional Chinese medicine they say that the qi commands the blood. So if you're purifying your blood, if you're purifying your bone marrow through the movements, that's allowing your blood to clear sooner. But I don't have the science behind that. I don't know that I can say yes, it changes the CBC in such a way, but certainly the traditional Chinese medicine philosophy is that the qi commands the blood, and so doing the movement helps purify the blood. I do think that there's something about meditation, and I think that there are studies that would show that meditation, whether it's moving or non-moving, just that intention to calm the mind and to kind of take control of the mind, let the mind relax, and let the body relax. All of those things do have clinical benefit. And I think there'll be more and more studies showing that. Whenever I see another study come out, and half the time they come out in mainstream magazines now, you know, or you'll hear it on the evening news. Oh, they found meditation is good for you. It's like, well, I've been telling you meditation's good for you for 20 years.
Absolutely. So many of the older traditions, right? Older medicine systems, they have been saying this for a long time. So you started to touch on this a little bit from a Qigong, like a purely holistic perspective. What you said that Qi commands blood, it purifies blood, and hence it helps to address these conditions. Do you want to talk a little bit more about it? I think our audience, people who are interested in this would enjoy hearing more from a holistic perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I do believe in that there is something going on. The main movement that I teach anybody is, when I first learned it, I learned it as bone marrow cleansing, and now I know it as gathering chi, but it's the same movement, and it's simply just standing there and gathering chi and pouring the chi down and allowing that to bypass the meridian to just cleanse the blood, cleanse the bone marrow. So, and I think that there is that intention piece, that meditative piece of it, saying, this is what I'm doing. I'm removing murky energy from my body. I'm replacing it with fresh energy. So I do think that the power of intention is very important in that process. But I also think that there is a healing benefit to a lot of the movements within Shen Gong that give it its power, so to speak. You know, it's a self-healing practice. So, you know, you get out of it what you put into it. and that getting into that, I can tell you that I am a much more emotionally stable person than I was before. I don't get upset. I used to just, I would just go on crying jags, and I had this emotional ability that I don't have. It seems like I have, I mean, I certainly get tired sometimes, but I don't get wiped out like I used to. And I'm busy. I mean, I have a really busy life. I've been, you know, working full time. I've got kids. I've got a family. I went to school as an adult. I continue to work on these Sheng projects. I'm working for Oncology Nursing Society as a volunteer. So I feel like the reason I can do the things I do is because of this practice. And you know, when I don't take that 20 minutes a day to devote to the practice, I feel it. I feel a drain because I'm not taking that time to get connected to the universe and to get my energy source right. So from a holistic perspective, I think, you know, one of the benefits of Qigong is to put life into that perspective, that I'm just one small part of a big machine, but we're all connected in some way. And this kind of helps me feel that connection. It helps me really solidify that connection with other people, and share the benefits. So I think I got off topic, but
wow, no, that's amazing. That's so powerful. I can't imagine anybody not wanting to try it. So let's do show and tell, Liana. Come on, you've really inspired all of us.
All right, let me see if I can
do what Sheng Gong can do. So show us something little bit that we can do on our own and get people started on it.
So I think you can I move all the way out? Let's see if I can get right. Should have planned this out before. All right, I think I can see a good portion of me.
Yeah, so, we can see a good portion of you.
So whenever you're doing Sheng Gong, you want to feel solid on the ground. So you want to put your feet about shoulder width apart. So my feet are almost even with my shoulders, and my toes are facing forward, just so that I feel stable. My knees aren't locked; they're kind of gently bent. And in Sheng Gong, I'll just show you a really quick movement, which is really good to just get you centered. I do this sometimes when I'm going into a meeting. We always start with the Zhongtian movement, which symbolizes the mind-body connection, the connection between heaven and earth in our own bodies. That analogy can be said several different ways, but it's connecting here, and the earth is represented in the Dantian, which is our storehouse of our Qi, and it's right in the center of your torso. So to do that movement, you just take your hands out and blow, and bring your left hand up and your right hand down. And then you're, excuse me, you're going to connect. You're going to rest your left hand and your right and touch your thumbs together. So we always do that at the beginning and the end of the practice, and it just kind of brings your energy down. Sorry. Kind of brings your energy down and gets you centered. And then gathering Qi can be done pretty much anywhere. And you're just going to take your hands and you're going to open your fingers a little bit, just not flex, but just open gently. And you're just going to raise them up gently. When they get to the top, you're just going to let your hands face down. And it's just like you're pouring the Qi down through your bone marrow, just cleansing your body. If you feel murky Qi anywhere, you can just let it go out through the soles of your feet. And you can coordinate this with your breath, so you can inhale as you come up. And then as you bring your hands down, you can exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And then you can imagine just pulling Qi up as your hands come up, just pulling Qi up to the earth through your feet. Allow it to come all the way up to the top of your body. And here you're just pouring Qi from heaven, from the earth around you, just pouring that Qi down. And some people like to use a little more visualization. So if you want to think of the Qi as like warm light gathering in your hands, and pouring up towards the top, and then pouring that warm light down through the center of your body, just cleansing your body. then I'll just do one more. That's kind of a nice, just anytime thing. But that was the first thing I taught to one of my lymphedema patients, and she really enjoyed it. And then I'm just going to close with a Zhongqian movement because I opened with it. And again, flowing into the hands. And this time thinking of the gratitude for feeling good, for feeling fresh energy, for being able to show other people. So that was really, really the basic.
That felt so relaxing, you know, just a few minutes of it and it felt good.
Well, and I think one of the things that I think people forget is, you know, we let our autonomic nervous system tell us how to breathe, and so we forget. Mm-hmm. And the one nice thing that just kind of works into the movements in Shengzhen is that the breathing becomes coordinated with the movement. You don't always have to think about it, but sometimes when you do think about it, it really kind of helps to get you centered. Just a lot of meditation uses breathing to kind of bring you into that mm-hmm. calm space. And I think it's a tool that we underuse because we have to breathe all the time. So, you know, just to take that second out and say, I'm going to let my breathing calm me down. I'm going to let that breathing bring me some peace right now so that I can get through this thing, whatever it is that's stressful. Mm-hmm. I think that's another one of the tools that doing a practice like this gives someone. This certainly has given me to whenever I feel like I'm a little overwhelmed. It's like, okay, I could just stop and do the Zhongqian movement and, you know, just take that moment to refocus and breathe.
Mm-hmm. So. Absolutely. It's so powerful. Just, you know, being able to connect with your breath and slowing down the breath helps to calm down the mind so much. Wonderful. Well, our floor is open to audience for questions, so please feel free to ask questions, and Liana will be here to answer them. I'm going to be moderating the questions for you, so feel free to ask your questions. I see we already have a question here. So the question, Liana, from our audience is there an intention setting done before you start Qigong?
Yes. In Shengzhen Gong, most of the movements have a contemplation that goes with the movement. But you know, certainly a person can set their own intention. You know, most of the time when I do my practice, my intention is to connect with the universe. So generally that is the intention. Certainly some of Shengzhen healing Gong, generally the intention is for healing. And there is one point within the movement where you sit still and you just set your focus on whatever your healing request is, whether it's my body is very healthy or surely my heart is functioning at its best, or whatever it is that you want, you set that intention. So yeah, definitely within the movements themselves, there's already an intention, but certainly healing intentions are always welcome to be added.
That's wonderful. And in addition to the movement, we talked about the mind as well. You know, you're setting the intention, you're focusing on your breathing. Does Qigong have any diet and lifestyle recommendations that go with it? Typically,
traditional Chinese medicine does. There are certain Qigongs that are specific for weight loss. And there are ideas within traditional Chinese medicine about hot and cool foods that you should eat. I am not really an expert in that, but I know there's a program called the Dragon's Way, which is a Qigong and a weight loss. It's like a book. I've read the book before, actually, and I know some people that have taken the class. I've not had the opportunity to take that, but that's a specific Qigong that is focused on weight loss. And it does incorporate some of the ideas of traditional Chinese medicine with food.
Okay. His Qigong is considered a part of, as one of the modalities within Chinese medicine?
Yes. Some people do prescribe different types of Qigong as part of traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay, got it. That's very helpful. The next question we have, it's an interesting one, is what have you heard in terms of the big misconceptions about moving meditation, and how would you address them?
I guess I don't know specifically what misconceptions there might be.
Or have you had any skepticism about Qigong or Shenzhen Gong, and how would you address it?
I have had people that are very turned off to the idea of Qigong or anything like that. I think things are changing. I think the general acceptance of yoga has helped with that, because I think people understand more yoga, although I'm not sure that people really understand yoga. I think they understand that you can go to a studio and do the movements with a lot of people, and I'm not sure they're always really learning about yoga as a meditation form. And I've had a few people that have gotten upset because there is a spirituality to Qigong. Some people I had one person got very upset that I referred to Master Li in a talk one time, and they said she kept talking about her master, and I'm like, well, he's not my master, but that's his title. So certainly people do bring their own ideas and misconceptions. Sometimes you know, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't find out until later, so that's a little bit harder. But you have to meet people where they are. So I'm not sure that it's worth my time to try to convince somebody who's not ready. I just try to let them know that I'm not doing anything harmful, and hopefully they can see that.
Yeah, I think even the concept of chi or life force is different than Western medicine. It's different than what the structural view and the way we study Western medicine, the science behind it, right? It's a more energetic and abstract concept. You can't surgically remove prana, at least, and show it to somebody. Right. So I can see why it could be a challenge for someone who's never been exposed to this. How do you talk them through it, or how do you address it so that it gives people an opportunity to try it out and benefit from it?
I would say the biggest problem I've had with people that were afraid to do it because they felt like it was against their religion. And that's a little bit harder. I always tell people that there is a spirituality to it, but it's not working against any religion, any religious belief you have. So if you're a Christian, then you're going to understand it through Christian spirituality. If you're a Muslim, you're going to understand it through a Muslim spirituality. So it doesn't change. It's not against any of those things. It could be incorporated into anything that fits into your life. But there are some people that feel like, it's not okay to meditate, that that's somehow against what they've been taught and what's
Mm-hmm.
okay for them. And so, sometimes I just approach it with just saying, well, then don't think of it that way. Why don't you think about it as the movement?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the movement's really beneficial, even if they don't want to think of it as meditating, even if they don't want to think about it as a spiritual practice. If they just want to think about it as a physical practice because they want a physical benefit, then it's okay to do it that way. I mean, they're not getting it all, but it's okay to do it, and it will work.
Mm-hmm.
They will still get some physical benefit from it.
Right. Sometimes that's the starting point, right?
Right. And so, yeah, so a lot of times, I teach a weekly class at the Austin Center for Spiritual Living, which is a Science of Mind church. So my people there are taking this as a spiritual class. A lot of times when I teach, if I'm teaching to a group of patients, they're looking at it as a physical practice. And so I teach it that way. I don't talk a whole lot about the spirituality piece of it. I just really focus on showing them the movements, having them get the movements coordinated with their breath as best they can so that they can get some physical benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I think you touched on this a little bit already. One of the questions that was asked is it beneficial for a layperson? And if yes, how often should someone practice it?
When I started doing this just as a layperson who was interested in learning it. So, but I pretty quickly within the first 2 years started practicing every day. When I would take a class, whenever I would learn a new form, I would study that form. I would probably study 30 to 40 minutes a day, however much I had learned, so that I could learn the forms. Because you don't remember it if you don't do it every day. Until you get it committed to muscle memory, you don't remember it. And there's still, of the 18 Sheng forms, there's still probably about 5 of them that I struggle to do. Like I have to get out the DVD and I have to check the book and I have to, because it doesn't just click to me. What am I going to do next? But if you told me 5 years ago, I would know 14 of the 18. I would have said, you're kidding. I'm never going to learn that form. It's going to be too hard. So, but I really think in order to reap maximum benefit, you have to come up with a daily practice, even if it's only 10 minutes a day. Some days I do 10 minutes, some days I do an hour. Most days I split somewhere in between. but I do something every day because it's just important to solidifying the practice. And I think the people that stick with it are the people that do it every day. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to get out of a habit. You can fall out of a habit really quickly. And so I think it's important to stay with it every day.
Absolutely. Daily practice makes such a big difference, even if it's 5 minutes, but just incorporating that in your life every day can have tremendous benefits. And like you said, you can grow with it to do more time. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, one of our audience is curious. So what's your next move? Is it hard to gain the master status? And is this something you want to pursue? Are you planning to pursue?
So in Sheng, there's really, Master Li is the master. His daughter is also probably a master teacher, but she does not wish for the title. And I don't think I would wish for the title. I feel like my work in service to Sheng is just helping promote the practice. I would really like to see it incorporated more. My current employer is a little bit more open to complementary and integrative therapies. And so I'm planning to start maybe teaching a class with some of our patients and maybe some of the staff. And I am, you know, again, I would like to promote this practice, and I would like to, I'm really pleased that we finally got the nursing CEs through American Holistic Nurse Association, because I think that will encourage people to come, whether they go on to teach it to more patients. That's, I guess that's not, I would love to see that. I would love to see us start incorporating this for more people so that we can get people moving on to wellness, because that is what I see for the future. I think we have all these cancer survivors that are kind of stuck in this survivorship and not in a wellness mode. And I would really like to see us moving them past survivorship into thrivership. and
I love that.
So to me, that would be the goal. I'm a certified teacher, and I'm happy with that status. And if I do this for another 30 years and I'm ever considered a senior teacher of Sheng, I would love that. But you know, I'm just walking the path right now. So I don't even think it's even clear within Sheng what it takes to be those, but they are delineating. Some of the teachers have been teaching for 20 years, and I don't consider myself anywhere on their level. So you know, I'm a baby, and that's okay, because, you know, we're all where we are. But I've also helped get this, you know, promoted through American Holistic Nurses Association. So that's my little piece. I'm very happy about that. And I'm really hoping that will help broaden how many people can find this practice to incorporate it.
Well, you have contributed so much with this practice to oncology and to all the patients, to all the people, to all the community. It's phenomenal. And you're so humble, and now you have credits for it. So there is so much more motivation and possibilities for spreading it in the nursing community. Liana, such a pleasure to have you. You shared such amazing words of wisdom and got us all excited about Shen Zhen Gong. Even showed us some moves that we can start with. So I'm really excited about it. I hope our audience enjoyed it. And I hope that you take some pieces of it with you. We will be putting some information about the resources that Liana talked about. And I hope you give Shen Zhen Gong and Qigong a try and see how it feels for you. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you in a few weeks. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.